Be afraid. Be afraid, American people. I'm going to put up this little chart to show the actual spending of our government. They say the Republicans are some of the biggest liars, along with the Democrats. Don't get me wrong. I'm going to pick on Democrats and Republicans equally. Because has anybody wondered why we have 11 aircraft carriers, and each one of those aircraft carriers costs nearly $1 trillion? Well, let's get realistic. Each one of those aircraft carriers cost several $billion. Okay, 100 billion. We got 11 of them. That means we have to run 11 of them. Each one of those aircraft carriers has 60, 70 airplanes that have to be maintained and everything. And I'm not complaining about the Navy, because in our Constitution, that's one of the few things we're supposed to have, is a strong Navy. But then we have to have the Army. Technically, according to the Founding Fathers, you and I are the Army. If anybody invades the country, me and you are the ones that shoot the paratroopers out of the sky. You know, every American citizen should have a military weapon, a military body armor with extra magazines. Every single one of us, unless if you're a conscientious objector. Now, if you're a conscientious objector, we'll give you a medical kit and put a little red cross on your helmet, and you can help carry the body bags. But everybody else, guess what? You're supposed to do it. Why isn't the libtards having a class in high school to teach every student coming out trauma first aid and how certain military weapons work? If everybody coming out of high school knew how to operate a pistol, a rifle, a machine gun, and a couple of sophisticated weapons, not many, you should know how to operate a Stinger anti-aircraft missile. You should know how to operate a Javelin missile and a TOW missile. With those three major things, you can knock out a tank, you can shoot down an aircraft, and with the Javelin, you can pretty much blow any damn thing up. Now, if you want to go into regular military or reservist, they'll teach you how to drive a tank and everything else. And all our tanks and stuff should not be gathered up in one spot. When we gather all our military equipment up in one little location, like a military base, that means it's under the control of a tyrannical government. All those M1 tanks should be scattered amongst all the counties in the United States. You know, like I'm going to use my county, Wilson County, for an example. We got a National Guard armory. They should have 2 or 3 M1 Abrams tanks in there. A couple of Bradley fighting vehicles. You know, have an underground shelter with big, thick steel doors on it where the ammo's kept. And you know what? If somebody attacks the United States, well, a bunch of gun-toting rednecks are going to run down to the armory and get some heavy weaponry. You know, hey, we don't have to keep our heavy weaponry at home, but as long as every single county has a small armory, there's no way any enemy in the world using conventional weapons could possibly invade us. It would be a physically impossibility. Because, you know, first off, every gun-toting redneck is going to have a rifle and a few thousand rounds of ammo at their house. And if there's anything big coming in, all those same gun-toting rednecks are going to run down to the National Guard Armory and grab some heavy weaponry to knock those whatever it is that the enemy is throwing at us out of the sky. It would be physically impossible for any country to invade us. The only army we would need is a few, maybe let's go overboard here and say 100,000 special forces troops. That would leave what? 20,000 per state. Each state would have enough special forces troops to train the populace. That's all we need is a few Green Berets to run around to each neighborhood to train the population on how to use that 120 millimeter mortar. It's not rocket scientists. I mean, I've read the books on how to use these special weapons, and you can get them at the Library of Congress. What we have today on Fox News, CNN News, MSNBC News is fear-mongering. They want to make you scared. You little chicken shit Americans. That's right. I'm calling you Americans little chicken shits. You're afraid. I'm really serious. I honestly think that 50% of the people that I go to church with, I'm not saying all of them, 50% of them are so scared of the government they would take the mark of the beast in no time. If it was put in, oh, well, you need this for your medical thing. Here, we're just going to put this chip in your hand with all your medical stuff so you don't have to carry the risk. And that way, if the ambulance picks you up, you just scan you and you'll have your medical record. Or some kind of crap like that. They'll come across with something like that. And half of these church-going, God-fearing Christians are going to take it and they're going to burn in hell. And another thing. You want proof? Look at history. This is the beauty of the internet, and this is why the internet will be shut down. Go to the Library of Congress and study your history. The Federal Reserve was a lie. It was a lie perpetrated on the American people by a bunch of bankers on Jekyll Island. It should have never been. It was a complete, utter lie to the American people. The war on drugs was a lie. It's a lie. A medical problem they made into a criminal problem so we could build more prisons and raise more taxes. All that money for taxes and, for prisons could have been put into the medical community for treatment. Just because somebody's an addict, you don't lock them up in jail with murderers and booty bandits and everything else. You're going to put your kid, because he smoked some weed or sold some weed to his friends. I don't care. Let's go hard drug. Let's go hard drugs. Let's say heroin. The worstest of the worst. I guess heroin or crystal meth. Whichever one's the worst drug. It's terrible. It's an evil, terrible drug, according to the government, but yet the government gives it out to their own troops. It's evil. So what do? We take these people that are addicted to a substance, I don't care what the substance is, and we put them in prison. And if they have any children, they take the children and they put them in state care, and the state care people tell them, it's okay to be gay. Just last week or this week, as I'll put the recording date on there, they fired a preacher at the youth center in Kentucky. They fired him because the preacher wouldn't sign a paper saying that he's not going to tell the kids that sodomy is a sin. That's right. Oh, out in Oregon, there's a church being sued by the sodomites because they don't want to perform Gay marriage. Here you go. Government's going to shove it down your throat. And you know what? Nobody, the churches aren't rolling over in their graves. They're not even talking about boycotting people like General Mills. These huge corporations are the ones that backing this gay marriage. Huge corporations. Pepsi-Cola. General Mills. I can go to that. There's over 250, 270 companies that lobbied the Supreme Court to pass the gay marriage bills. Now, these people are supposed to be in business to sell product, not get involved in politics. Look at Walmart. Walmart just stood back and said, hey, we don't want no part of it. Our job is to sell products. Our job is not to get involved in politics. Target, one of the biggest stores that the supposed conservative, right-wing conservatives love to shop at, #1 proponent of gay marriage. All right, now I'm going to get back onto the fear-mongering. Fox fear-mongers are some of the worst. Fox ought to be named the warmongering channel. Now, I'm not saying that we shouldn't do something if our allies get attacked, but the Constitution of the United States gives a method for doing that. It's called a declaration of war. We haven't had a declaration of war since World War II. Therefore, everything we've sent our troops to has been illegal. Our people in Congress can't follow their own rules. And I'm going to tell you right now, my Tennessee senators and congressmen, they're real good about talking on camera. Well, this is unconstitutional. But you know, when it comes for them to sign their little pen, they sign it anyway. Because they know they'll be blackballed. They know the wimps in Tennessee will throw them out if they don't do what they're supposed to do. Like our highway budget. Did you know, back when Clinton did this, this was called Clinton's fuzzy math. He took all the different stuff, like the highway money, your gas taxes and excise taxes and Social Security taxes, and he put it all in the general fund. That's how he balanced the budget while he was in office. He took all those other little user fees and put it in the general fund instead of keeping it separate in their own trust funds. See, the highway department was supposed to run under a trust fund. Your gas money, your gas tax and everything goes into a trust fund, and then out of that trust fund they use to repair the highways. Not anymore. They steal that money, so later down the road when the highway trust fund is short, well, we have to borrow money and put it back into the trust fund. I don't know how to say this any other way but to offend somebody, but I'm going to call bullshit. This is utter, pure bullshit, and the American people are swallowing it like the good little sheep you are. You don't want to count. You don't want to count for nothing, and the American people are such cowards when it comes to their own government. They let these little special interest groups, the booty bandits and everybody else, run up and protest. You know what? It may be disgusting, but at least ISIS has enough balls to throw these idiots off the roof. Yeah, I said it. At least they have the gonads to take something to war. They know what war is. War is not pretty. War is not like you see on television, little video games. No. People get their heads blown off. And let me tell you, if you're ever there when somebody gets ripped in half, you know what? It's not just the visual effect, it's smell-o-vision that comes with that. And unless you say, when you get the whiff of somebody's large intestines and crap, because people when they die, a lot of times they crap and pee themselves. And when they're ripped in half and you got the nice smell of blood and shit and everything in your nose, then you'll know what death is. It's not like what you watch on television. But it's okay, American people, as long as you watch it on television. As long as you watch our soldiers run around and see the boom and bang, you need to go there and witness it in person. And when you crap your own drawers, you won't be so quick to send the soldiers over there. And another thing, you idiotic parents, I'm going to call you stupid. Fool. No, I can't call you fool. Sorry about that. I apologize, Lord. But you're fool. You're idiots when you give your children these smartphones. If you give a child a smartphone before it gets into college, you ought to be thrown off the roof. Do not give the children the smartphones. First off, you give them a smartphone, you're 16 years old, you're going to give them a car. They're going to kill somebody or kill somebody else because they haven't got the brain power to do both. They're going to get a message from their girlfriend, their BFF, and they're going to run their car into somebody else. I've got this chart up here just to show you the lies from our government. The whole drug war is a lie. Look up the history. Look up the history of how our drug war came into being. It came in through fear-mongering. People with money used their power to scare people. They used it to scare people. Why is Donald Trump so high in the ratings right now? Because he's got a lot of money to run his mouth and scare people. You know, I hear everybody talk about, well, Rand Paul is wishy-washy. You know what? I've watched what he did in Congress, and he hasn't been wishy-washy at all. He stood his ground on every single subject. But you know, you got people with money like Trump whispering in the ear of the gullible tinfoil hat crowd saying that he's wishy-washy. You listen to Fox News and stuff like that. They will not have a libertarian-leaning Republican. He's Republican, but he's leaning toward the libertarian part. Face it, he's a doctor. He didn't get to be a doctor by cheating his way through school. Yes, he's gentler. He doesn't want to go to war, not without Congress doing their job and declaring war. If you do not declare war, our troops don't go nowhere. So you have to talk to your congressman. The president does not go to war unless we are attacked. We have to be physically attacked before we have a military response. And even then, the president has X amount of days to ask for a declaration of war. Americans, stop looking for the sky to fall. Quit being such a bunch of chicken shits.